Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something I think we all encounter, that feeling of being creatively stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether you're, a seasoned innovator or just trying to find a fresh angle on something, that blank mental canvas can be, well, frustrating.
Definitely.
And you, our listener, you've likely been there. So our goal in this deep dive is to move beyond just acknowledging it and really explore some actionable techniques to reignite that creative spark.
Yeah, and the sheer range of approaches suggested by our sources is quite remarkable, isn't it?
It really is.
It's kind of reassuring, actually, that this isn't some, personal failing, but just a shared human experience.
Right.
And what immediately strikes me is that inspiration isn't this elusive lightning bolt we wait for. It's something we can actively cultivate.
How we interact with the world, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And with our own minds.
Okay, so let's start with something maybe seemingly straightforward. Our immediate surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
The sources really highlight the, well, often overlooked power of just simple observation.
Right. Paying attention.
It's about truly seeing, the specific texture of a leaf, or the way light hits an object, the subtle color changes in a wall.
Yeah.
It sounds almost too simple, maybe, but why is this kind of intentional focus on detail so potent?
Well, it's interesting because when we consciously focus on those tiny details, we're essentially disrupting our brain's autopilot.
Autopilot.
Yeah, we tend to filter out so much in our daily routines. So by forcing ourselves to truly observe, looking at the negative space around things, that's a classic designer trick.
Ah, okay.
You see things in new relationships. We're giving our brains novel sensory data, fresh input.
Right.
And that fresh input can trigger unexpected connections, new associations. That's the foundation of new ideas, really.
It's like giving your internal problem solver a completely new set of puzzle pieces.
Exactly that.
That makes sense. It's like, when you see something familiar but from a weird angle, and suddenly you notice something you just never saw before. The sources also really push for actively seeking out new environments. Taking a walk somewhere unfamiliar, a different park, a new hiking trail maybe.
Yeah.
What makes that change of scenery so effective? Why does that work?
Well, a key aspect there is breaking the hold of routine. Predictability.
Okay.
Our usual environments can become so familiar that our brains almost stop processing them in detail.
Right, we tune them out.
Exactly. But step into a new place. Your senses are immediately heightened by the unfamiliar, different smells, maybe different sounds. The whole visual landscape is new. And that sensory jolt can help bypass those mental ruts we get into. It offers fresh perspectives. It's almost like a mental palate cleanser.
A palate cleanser. I like that. And it's not just about nature walks, is it? Our material specifically mentions visiting museums, art galleries, historical sites too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about immersing ourselves in different cultural contexts, maybe, and seeing how others have channeled their own creativity.
Precisely. When we engage with art and history, we're not just, passively looking. We're engaging with the actual results of someone else's creative process.
Right.
Tangible results.
Tangible results, often across time, across cultures. Seeing how a sculptor worked, or understanding the history behind a piece of music, or just marveling at, say, ancient architecture.
Yeah.
That can expand our own understanding of what's possible. And it can spark unexpected ideas in totally unrelated areas of our own lives.
So it's like learning a new creative vocabulary.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yes.
So it's about active engagement then, not just a quick look. Which actually, that connects really well with our next point.
Yeah.
Actively engaging with different forms of art in general.
Right. Beyond just the visual or historical.
Yeah, we're talking about deeply listening to music outside your usual stuff. Or really watching a film for its storytelling techniques, immersing yourself in a novel. The idea seems to be paying close attention to the emotions and ideas these things evoke in you.
Exactly. Art is just such a powerful emotional and intellectual catalyst, isn't it?
It really is.
Think about how, a particular melody can just instantly bring back a specific memory or feeling.
Oh, totally.
Or how a film's structure, its narrative, might offer a new way to frame a problem you're grappling with.
Okay.
So by consciously paying attention to those internal responses, the feelings, the thoughts, the what-ifs, we're basically exercising our capacity for empathy and imaginative thinking.
And those are crucial for inspiration.
Absolutely crucial.
And it's not just about being a consumer of art either, is it?
Right.
The sources really suggest actually creating something yourself.
Yes. Even if you think you're not artistic.
Right. It could be sketching, trying to write a story, messing around with an instrument.
Anything, really.
The act of creation itself, they say, can be a surprising source of inspiration for other parts of your life.
Well, what's fascinating there is the inherent problem solving involved in any creative act, however small.
How so?
When you're trying to get an idea down on paper, or figure out a melody, or even just arrange flowers nicely, you're making tons of small decisions, right? You're experimenting, adapting.
Too.
And that active engagement with the creative process, it can lead to unexpected discoveries, insights. And those can then spill over and inform how you approach other challenges.
Ah, okay. So it's like learning by doing, but in this uniquely imaginative space.
Exactly. Learning by doing creatively.
Okay, now let's shift gears a bit. Connecting with other people.
Mm-hmm. Social connection.
Yeah, because when you're feeling creatively dry, the instinct, for me anyway, might be to just isolate yourself, go into a hole.
That's common, yeah.
But our sources actually suggest the opposite. Reach out. Talk to friends, colleagues, mentors maybe.
And a key benefit there is just tapping into a diversity of perspectives, viewpoints you simply don't have on your own.
Right. Getting outside your own head.
Absolutely. When you try to articulate your challenges or even just share half-formed ideas out loud, you're inviting others to offer their unique insights. They might make connections you'd completely miss.
Okay. Like brainstorming.
Brainstorming sessions, just like the material highlights, are a perfect example of this synergy, where one person's thought can spark a totally different, novel idea in someone else.
Harnessing collective thinking.
That's it.
And it goes beyond just your immediate circle too, doesn't it? The sources also point to the value of joining creative communities.
Right. Online forums, maybe local meetups.
Yeah, connecting with others who share your interests, sharing your work, getting feedback maybe.
And this really raises an important point about the supportive power of community.
How so?
Well, when you're surrounded by people engaged in similar stuff, you create this environment of shared understanding, encouragement.
Makes sense.
And just seeing the different ways others approach their creative work can be incredibly inspiring in itself. It exposes you to new techniques, new ways of thinking you might not stumble upon otherwise.
So it's like having a built-in support system and a constant feed of new ideas.
Pretty much, yeah. A continuous source, potentially.
Okay, so far we've focused quite a bit on, like, external sources of inspiration, things outside ourselves.
The environment, art, other people.
But our sources also really emphasize the importance of looking inward.
Yes, through practices like mindfulness and reflection.
Right. This involves setting aside quiet time to actually pay attention to your own thoughts, feelings, those subtle gut feelings or intuitions.
It's interesting, isn't it? Many believe that the seeds of inspiration are often already within us.
But buried.
Yeah, kind of buried beneath the constant noise and chatter of daily life. So practices like mindfulness, meditation, even just journaling, they give us valuable tools for quieting that external noise, for accessing our inner landscape.
So observing thoughts and feelings without judging them.
Exactly, just noticing. And by doing that, we can often uncover hidden insights, those gut feelings that might actually lead to creative breakthroughs. It's about tuning into your own internal wisdom.
And it's not just about our current thoughts either, is it? The material also suggests looking back, revisiting past projects and ideas.
Oh, definitely. Even things that might have been shelved or forgotten.
Why is that valuable?
Well, looking back at old work can be like, I don't know, unearthing forgotten treasures sometimes. You might discover little seeds of ideas that suddenly resonate with your current challenges. Or you might see unexpected links between past projects that seemed totally unrelated at the time.
Ah, connecting the dots looking backwards.
Kinda, yeah. And also, reflecting on what has inspired you in the past can reveal your own personal creative patterns, recurring themes, which gives you clues for future inspiration, too.
So it's like mining your own creative history for valuable stuff.
That's a good analogy, mining your history.
Okay, this next concept might seem a little counterintuitive at first. Embracing constraints and challenges.
Ah, yes, the power of limits.
Right. The idea is that sometimes limitations, rather than, stifling creativity, can actually force us to be more inventive, find really original solutions.
A key insight here is that true creativity often thrives not in this vacuum of unlimited possibilities, but actually within clearly defined boundaries. Constraints can force us to think more strategically, maybe prioritize, explore novel approaches we wouldn't have considered if we had, endless options.
Can you give an example?
Sure, think of like a chef who's challenged to create a gourmet meal using only 3 specific ingredients.
Okay.
That limitation forces incredible focus and innovation, doesn't it? It can spark really clever culinary creations precisely because of the constraint.
That makes sense. It focuses the mind.
It does.
The sources even suggest intentionally setting artificial constraints, like giving yourself a strict time limit for brainstorming or only using certain materials for a project.
Yes, as a way to deliberately spark that resourceful thinking.
So how does that work? Why impose limits on yourself?
Well, by imposing those artificial constraints, we're essentially creating a very focused problem to solve. And that can push us beyond our usual comfort zones. It encourages us to experiment with unconventional solutions because the usual ones might be ruled out by the constraint.
It's like a deliberate creative workout then.
Exactly. A workout designed to strengthen those problem-solving muscles.
Okay, so, wow. To kind of bring it all together, we've explored a really diverse set of strategies for finding inspiration.
We really have.
Tuning into our environment, engaging deeply with art, connecting with others, cultivating that inner reflection, and even embracing limitations. It's pretty clear that finding your muse is far from a passive act. It's active. It's multifaceted.
Absolutely. And I think the crucial takeaway for you, our listener, is that this is a deeply personal exploration.
Yeah, no one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. What ignites inspiration in one person might do nothing for another. The key is really to experiment with these different approaches. Pay attention to what sparks your own creativity.
And develop your own unique toolkit.
Develop your own toolkit for overcoming those moments when you feel blocked.
Yeah. And it's so important, I think, to remember to be patient with yourself through that process.
Oh, definitely.
Creative dry spells are they're a normal part of it, aren't they?
Completely normal. It's about trusting that they are temporary and that by actively engaging with some of these techniques, you can navigate through them.
Right. Keep trying things.
Precisely. Think of it like learning any new skill. Sometimes you make rapid progress, other times it feels like you've plateaued. But with consistent effort and trying the right approaches for you, you will continue to grow.
Okay, so here's something maybe to mull over. How might you experiment with combining some of these different inspiration techniques in whatever you're working on right now?
Ooh, interesting prompt.
Yeah, like what unexpected synergies might pop up if you, say, discussed your work with a friend while taking a walk in a new neighborhood, and then maybe spent some quiet time journaling about that whole experience.
Layering the approaches.
Exactly. What surprising connections might you uncover when you intentionally layer these things? Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.